So Carlotta works out of the Italian office for TransAfrica. She oversees creating all of the itineraries and will work with you on costings and all of the specific details that you need for your specific group. And she also leads tours as well. And then Gabriel, he lives in Togo and he oversees the office in Lomé. And so he is going to be the one to kind of walk you through Benin, Togo, and Ghana. And this will be recorded, as we just saw, and I'll figure out how and where to share it with you so that you can share it with your teams going forward if you would like. And I'm just not going to take a lot of time to talk because many of you know me. So I'm going to hand it over to Carlotta. I'm going to try my best to man the chat so that people can ask questions at the end of this, and we'll just kind of go from there. So Carlotta, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Brooke, and thank you everyone for joining this webinar that gives us the chance to introduce you to our company, TransAfrica, and to this amazing and sadly unknown region that we call West Africa. So as we understood it from Brooke, you are mainly interested in FIT and in the best of West Africa. Therefore, we are not going to talk about our scheduled group departures, but you can find all the information on our website, transafrica.biz. So my name is Carlotta, and I'm from the Commercial and Marketing Department, and I welcome you from Milan, Italy. Okay. So TransAfrica is the leading DMC in West Africa, able to organize any tour or expedition to this region. So this is Togo, Benin, Ghana, Ivory Coast, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea-Conakry, Guinea-Bissau, the Gambia, Senegal. And then we have these great expeditions, which are long trips that cross several regions. Now, before going into some technical details, I really want to say that we like to call ourselves the specialists. And this is because we are on the field. And this gives us the chance to, and the time to keep organizing scouting in the regions. So we can say without any doubts that we know what we are selling. So we know the hotels, we know the region, we know the local community. So it might happen that one of your clients have a specific request about a hotel, for instance, that we don't know. So what it's going to do is that we will say to you, look, we don't know the hotel, but we are going to do some research and give you feedbacks. And this is just for the sake of honesty. And this is what for us means being the specialist. Yeah, some technical details. So TransAfrica has two head offices, one in Togo and one in Senegal. And then we have operational antennas in Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast, and Ghana. So you can see that we are spread all over the region. Then we have our commercial and marketing representation in Italy and US. And then we have local guides in each country. So TransAfrica is a mix of European capacity to organize and the African warm sense of hospitality. And this is why our staff is a mix of European expats and African people. So we train, employ, and promote local personnel. What does that mean? It means that all guides receive regular training once a year in first aid, African history, anthropology, team organization, and environmental conservation. And during this time, you can really see how nicely we mix our knowledges. But not only that, during these trainings, we invite specialists to train our guide. So we are the specialists because we let our guides be trained by the specialists. So for instance, we invited the Minister of Tourism, we invited the fetish priest to train them about voodoo, and we invited a griot to talk about the storytelling traditions and so forth and so on. Now, the fact that we employ our staff all year long and not only during the high season guarantees you a constant excellent service and them a sustainable future. And this is very important for us because we are really committed to social sustainability. And this is why I decided to call this slide social sustainability. So from the beginning, so 30 years ago, we decided to push for local guides instead of having guides from Europe or America, even though we knew that that was a risky decision, because at that time travelers were used to have guides from America or from Europe. But we decided to run the risk because we strongly believe that local guides can best create friendly bonds with the populations, with the traditional chiefs, with the priests, as well as with the authorities who know our long-lasting commitment to tourist development. So this is why we really want to tell you that we are strongly committed to social sustainability. So, why West Africa? It's hard for us to explain you why we felt in love with this unknown region. And the founder of TransAfrica, he is an expert in trans-Sahara trips. And at some point, he ended up in West Africa as a logical end of a trip from North to Black Africa. And he was impressed and overwhelmed by this vibrant culture. So he decided once again to run the risk and set up a company that was running tours in this region at the time when really nobody knew what Ghana, Togo, Benin were. Then when I was preparing this presentation, I asked myself, why did I fall in love with this region? So I am a cultural anthropologist, and I've been traveling in the continent since the age of 6. And so I know the continent quite well, but ended up loving this region. And I think that the reason of this is because once I arrived here, I got the chance to get in touch with vibrant and alive culture. So what does that mean? It means that when you come here, you don't meet culture that are stuck in the past, but they're constantly changing. And this is what keeps them alive. So they are able to constantly mix old traditions with modernity. So my colleague Gabriel will explain you what this is, but just to give you an example, it was from the coast of Ghana that slaves were sent to the Americans. So they brought their culture there. The culture there became something completely different. And then when the time of slavery was over, they brought back their culture to West Africa, and their culture once again mixed with the local culture, and it became something different. So this is mostly the reason why I'm overwhelmed by the culture of this region. But then I looked at my staff and I realized that all of us have different reasons to love this area. Some of us are interested in tribal art. Some of us are interested in modern art. in religions, and so forth and so on. And I've realized that this diversity is reflecting into the people's interested when they decide to come to West Africa. So multiple reasons to come, but they are mostly related to human beings and the human product. And this is why all the trips to West Africa include ancient rituals, ceremonies, sacred masks, and festivals. But what does traveling in West Africa in actuality means? It means traveling out of the beaten tracks. And I really want to stress this point because it has, of course, some positive side in terms of authenticity, but it has some bad side. And by this, I mean the willingness to the unforeseen. But the unforeseen also means that while on the road, you can bump into a voodoo ceremony, into an initiation rite, into a lady who is making fufu, and having the chance to stop and attend it. And also, I like to think that the willingness to the unforeseen is what makes a traveler the traveler. And with this, I stop and I leave the stage to my colleague Gabriel.
Thanks, Carlotta. Thanks all of you for joining. So I'm talking about one of our bestseller, the Ghana, Togo, Benin tours. Indeed, one of my favorite. So we decided to combine these three countries as they share together the same history, and even geographically they are very, very close, as you can see. But we like to treat them as three different regions. So the south, the coast, the central region, and the northern region. Historically, all these three regions were in business with the big Sahel empires from long time ago. So the trade in the north. So these people organized in tribes, small kingdoms, all took care of their land, exporting goods like cola nuts, like gold, like ivory, slave, and they all sent to the north. Then when the Europeans landed in the coast, the business, the trade start facing south. Two big empires, two big kingdoms raised up, the Ashanti in Kumasi in the central forest of Ghana, and the Dahomey in the central Benin. And they developed a very deep social society, and they influenced a lot the daily life of people of the south and of the north. So people from the south, they were much more involved in the trade. They got rich. They organized themselves in very deep society with deep religions, arts, while on the contrary, people from the north did escape the trade, as they were mainly captured and sold as slaves. So consequently, they develop a very basic society system. They were mainly organized in patriarchal society, and but with very deep initiation rites, passage rites, able to transform the young child into a very strong man to face all these troubles. And very basic animistic conception of life, but very nice and unique architectural style. We call them the fortified dwellings. So this is the reason why we feel like it's a must to run this tour in a circle, combining the north, the center, and the south of these countries. And then, as Carlotta said, history is not over. With the triangle trade, cultures, belongs, goods were traded into the new world, mixed up over there, came back, changing things again. Now we can have some nice pictures of our destination. We start from the coastline. You can see Elmina and Fort Sayago Castle in the coastline of Ghana. We had more than 40 castles and forts. It means one every 15-20 kilometers. They were the point where Westerners landed, and they were the gate of Western culture spreading into Africa. And so from this, local people took a part of it, mixed with the indigenous one, and starting very interesting syncretic rites. Then we move into Accra. We were talking about art. What's about this camera? It's a coffin indeed. So it's a very fun way to bury people inside this artistic, this artwork by the end. Accra is a very cosmopolitan and vibrant city, the capital city of Ghana. It has been rated by New York Times as the coolest African town of the last year. It hosts very high level of museums, art galleries, artists, brilliant and a very vibrant nightlife with live musics, concerts, and very tasty fusion cuisine. We explore in Accra all of these elements, including Jamestown, which is the indigenous area, the one where it was the first settlement of the British and the Dutch people. Here we can have a look to the harbor. Then we move to Togo, well known for the fetish market, the place where many ingredients of traditional medicine are still sold. The central market, the picture is from there with the nice printed fabrics, the wax sold by the Nana Benz, the so famous women, the first so rich to be able to buy a Mercedes Benz from their name, the Nana Benz. Then we have many colonial buildings facing the sea. We follow the coastline and across the lake, the Lake Togo and the Mono River, we are in the cradle of the voodoo, the most practiced religion in the south. So in our tours, we usually meet all the most important actors of these religions, and we try to learn about them, the meaning of this deep vision of the world, life, and death. Here you can have a fetish priest posing with his shrines, which are the material representation of the spirits. Another very important part of our tour is when we gather, we attend a voodoo ceremony. It's genuine voodoo ceremony. We can get them in town as well in remote villages. Here you can see a lady fell into a trance, scratching her on his shrine. Voodoo ceremony takes place daily and night, as this very nice picture can show. And we are welcome to be among them, taking pictures, experiencing this ancient religion all together with them. We have different kind of voodoo, which are different spirits, and so different ceremony. Some of them are fixed on daily, on some day of the week. Some others takes place when people need. You can have a very amazing pictures of the voodoo called Koku. As you see, the arm of the dancer are bleeding. It's a way to join with the spirits. They come themselves and they pour blood over the shrine. Voodoo is thought to belong from the Mono River, and along the Mono River we like enjoying a boat cruise, attending a very tiny village where luckily we can participate in such kind of ceremony, as well as the one you can see in the pictures. They are masked and they are called the Zambeto. It's a secret society. The boat brings us across mangroves forest. This is another Zambeto, reaching the delta of the river, where we can enjoy wild beaches and astonishing landscapes. Another hotspot of the coastline of Benin is Gambier, the unique stilt village, built 40 minutes of boat from the land. It's a village you can see from there, but you have just to jump in the pirogue to reach it, and it's totally built in the center of the lagoon and by stilts. These people, the Tofinu, escaping the slave trade, found a safety place to stay on the sea, on the water. And then we end our experience visiting Gambier is 15 minutes from Cotonou, so very easy to reach. We then visit Ouidah, the capital city of the voodoo, where the 10th of every January takes place a very important ceremony on the beach. Ouidah is famous for the Portuguese fort, the story related to the said slavery trade with the door of no return, the slave route, as well as the Python temples and all their adepts, like the lady you can see carrying a python over her neck. Then we move in the central region of Benin to bring you to the Dahomey Kingdom in the city of Abomey. Here we can have a king of this kingdom, traditionally dressed, welcoming us with a part of his wives. Abomey is a living city, many marks of voodoo, as it was the traditional religion of this kingdom. We visit, so we roam around the city, discovering such sacred places, such deep stories, visiting the UNESCO Museum of the Royal Palace of Abomey. We have many UNESCO sites, even the castles and the forts of Ghana, mostly of them are UNESCO. In the central part of Benin and Togo, we can meet the Yoruba people and the Nago people coming from the closest Nigeria. And this is a Gungun masquerade. This mask brings the spirit of the deceased person, the deceased ancestors in the village. People face the future looking at their story. And so the tradition, the culture of ancestors is very important in this animistic conception of life. These are another pictures of the Egun. Another very nice mass dance we usually see during our tours at the Gelede, well carved masks, dancing like a puppy. Is a sort of raw theater. So they have a spiritual meaning as well as a theater. They teach people about many facts, many important things about their life, rules to follow, and so on. Those ceremonies can be attended in the day as in the night, as we can see this spectacular fire dance from the 10 people in Sokode, central Togo. It's a very nice moment, totally different from the fire eater we are very often keen in our Western regions. Impressing when they eat charcoals and breathing the light came and it looks like an X-ray over all their faces and mouths. It's very incredible, yes. And in particular, is syncretism because these 10 people are considered to be deep Muslim people, and so you can see how they still keep this animistic truth alive. It's very impressive, very interesting, yeah. Then we move in Kumasi, finally, the capital of the Ashanti Kingdoms, still a big and vibrant city in the forest, so with a very luxuriant vegetation, a very important market we visit, with some museums, cultural centers, but the hotspot of the town are the funerals. Funerals are not the barrier, are not sad, but it's a festive way people gather, in particular every Saturday in Kumasi, celebrating the spirit of the deceased. So you can see the town is divided into two main colors, black and red. Black are friends and far relatives, while in red, parents. We attend such kind of ceremony, dancing and sharing with people. It's a very nice moment. The calendar of the Ashanti is about 42 days per month, and some days are considered sacred, and there are many ceremonies taking place. So they drop their usual costumes to dress completely as the tradition required. In particular, is a hierarchical society, and so the most important people, you can see them dressing many gold stuffs, like this picture. Another very nice thing to underline is the traditional kente cloth using during this ceremony. So you can see how deep is their artistic production. Those are spokesmen, linguists, and this is from the Aquasidae, taking place in a Sunday of every 42 days, when the kings, after celebrating a private ritual over the shrine of the past kings, come out meeting its people. There's a moment also for traditional chiefs. They are many, and is the Aquasidae, and it takes place on Wednesday. This is the pictures of the actual king of the Ashanti and his court, as you can attend, as you can see during this ceremony. As Carlotta told, with our guides, we are very well invited to take care of this ceremony. Then we take the way to the north. We told about these ancient trading routes connecting the region to the Sahel and the desert. And this is the mark of this past trades. Is a mosque, a mud mosque, in the Sudanese style. There are some of them on the way north, in Ghana in particular, and we stop to see and learn about it. Ghana, Togo, Benin. We are here in the north part of Ghana, in Sirigu. These are the Kassina women painting their houses. We told about these patriarchal society, these fortified dwellings. There are many examples, and they are all different each other. In the same line, you can see in a few kilometers Cassena, lobby compounds, Talensi. Then we move into Togo and Benin. We can have the Kabylie, we can have the Tamberma de Somba, all with such kind of amazing architectural styles. Different each other, as I told you. Ghana, Togo, Benin, we don't miss wildlife. Of course, nothing compared to the trip you are able to sell in east and south part of the continent. But why not? We can have a couple of days, maybe looking for indigenous species, birds, and some other mammals. We go ahead discovering some pictures of the north with colorful markets. You can find these all the way. It's nice to jump down the car, have a walk, and discover this daily activity and many goods they produce and they exchange as well. These are from the Taneka villages in north of Benin. This is a traditional chief posing from us. The Taneka is a very interesting melting pot of people. Once again, escaping the slavery trade, they found a nice place to stay all together, mixing their tradition and religions. They found a unique ethnic group. For instance, this is a fetish priest of them. Here we have, okay, the fetish priest dressing every time in traditional way, smoking his pipe with his wife. So he's the one taking care of performing rituals over the shrine. Villages are very nice to visit, empty, but they get filled during the ceremonies. This is a Fulani women. Fulani are among the biggest ethnic group of West Africa. You can get them from Guinea to Nigeria. Not the same every time. Here you can see a very nice smile, hairstyle, and tattoo on the face. You can get them northern of Togo, Ghana, and Benin, yes, as well. You see nice glass beads and charms at the neck of the child. This is a view of the northern savannah. We have a nice view as well. And in this valley, we have another UNESCO site, which is the Tamberma and the Somba valleys, well known for their finest architectural style. We can see now pictures of their fortified dwelling, built like castle, small castle, incredibly over 3 levels, all made by mud and by hands. So we moved from the voodoo religion of the south to the animist one in the north, as those phallic shrine roofs, all placed in front of the houses. This is the terrace, just to show you how clean, how deep, how strong, how big is this castle. Let's talk a little bit before talking of hotels. I would like to tell you that we strongly recommend to do this tour in a circle. So from the coastline with the 3 capital cities hosting international airports. So we have Accra, Lome in Togo, and Cotonou in Benin. So a circle tour combines all these aspects I quickly briefed you about. If you like to do all by land, it would take some 15 days, something like that. But then we can short a little bit. Then if you are looking for, as Carlotta said, is different, the quality of the accommodation north and to south. The best are in the south, in the central region. We can get nice 4 and 5 stars, even some luxury hotels, as well as boutique in the main cities. But then moving north, hotels are a little bit more basic, but the experience is unique. We can then combine, if you like, north to south by some domestic flights, in particular in Ghana, or if you can afford, we can suggest some private private Cessna small aircraft to make a daily excursion connecting in one day the north to the south. All the hotels have air-conditioned rooms. Mostly all of them, internet is working very well. If not, in all the rooms, at least you can get a good connection in the public areas. Even if sometimes is not that actually that fast as where I used in Europe or in the US. Then we have some pictures of our fleet. We have 3 kinds of vehicles mainly: microbus at the bottom, coaster bus, and 4-wheel drive. We use microbus for a maximum of 6 window seater, comfortable for 7 people, if you like. Then coaster bus, we can use it for a maximum of 12 window seat, or 16 people in total, if you like. Those 2 vehicles are equipped with a carrier at the top of the roof, where we place the luggage, well packed into plastic to protect them from dust and rain in case. Then we have brand new 4-wheel drives, like the V8 in our pictures. You can have a technical description of all the equipment we put in such kind of cars. We offer for a really luxury experience. Roads are nice. The condition of the roads are good. In the central, in the south, excellent, I would say, somewhere. And then we have still some tracks, mostly central northern area. So a minibus can fit very well for the whole tour. But once again, if you want to offer luxury and extreme comfortable experience, the 4-wheel drive is definitely for you. So we have the coastline. You see Accra, Lomé, Cotonou, the capital city, Kumasi, the Ashanti kingdoms, where you can see Weme is the place of Abomey and the Dahomey kingdom, and then all the northern region with the Tamale Bolgatanga, where you saw the painted houses. Kara, Parakou is close to the Taneka. And the fortified dwellings, Carlotta, can you show from Kara to Djougou at least? That's the place.
Okay, wonderful.
I'm done.
Thank you very much, Gabrielle. We do have a few questions that have come in already, so I will start with those, and then if other people have questions and they'd like to type them to us, we can answer them there for you. So the first, since you were just speaking about transportation, is are there charter flight options for people who do not want to spend a lot of time on road transfers? And what about helicopters?
So we have private charters flights we can set up with 2 people. We can use Piper, Cessna. We have even some more expensive aircraft like Hawker, so private jet as well. Helicopters is more difficult to find, but we can get some. Actually, we found some of them in Ghana. If not, we can bring them from Ivory Coast. It will be, of course, for a different kind of budget. Yes, but it is possible. Yes, it is possible. Then Ghana, as I told, has different domestic flights connecting Accra to Takoradi, which is west side on the coastline, close to the border of Ivory Coast. Then we have a domestic airport in Kumasi and in Tamale to reach the northern area. In Togo, from Lomé, we can land close to Kara, so it can be a nice day excursion discovering Kabylie and the Tamberma people, the one of the castle house. While even from Cotonou, we can fly in Abomey, in Parakou, and somewhere close to Natitingu, which is the land of the Somba. To join our Ghana, Togo, Benin tours, you need 3 visas. Ghana is compulsory, while Togo and Benin you can obtain at every entry points. Then even Benin is doing well. You can enroll online for a pre-visa sheet, so it's not that difficult to get visas. We can then provide for invitation letters, any kind of documents you would need. It's a different thing if you want to fly in by charter flight, because immigration and custom in mostly of the case must be done in the capital cities. And so you have to consider such kind of flyover every time. The only international airport is Kara. From the rest, you have also to transit by the main capital cities in that case.
Great, thank you.
About vaccination, if we can spend a few words. You will be required only about yellow fever certificate. No other vaccination are required. Is an endemic malaric zone, and so prophylaxis is strongly recommended.
Wonderful, thank you. And one of the questions was, are most of your guests from Europe or the US? And I think that kind of ties into you speaking about visas. So historically with TransAfrica, the majority of their guests were very much European. And now with my coming on board from the North American market, we're seeing more and more. Now, historically, they did have a number of guests from the North American, USA, Canada, Mexico market that would join a lot of the group tours, either that they put together or that certain operators in the States put together. And now we're doing a lot more with FIT as well. So hopefully that kind of answers that one as well. Just going off of visas and health, another question was, do you recommend a particular evacuation insurance? So I can let you speak to that if you would like, and then I'll kind of run through a couple of other questions too.
Can I go ahead?
If there's specific evacuation insurance, I mean, I think generally just travel insurance is mandatory. Yeah. Carlotta, yes.
Yeah, so to travel with us, general travel insurance is mandatory, but we don't require it, and we don't really recommend. I mean, it's up to you, of course, but we don't think it's necessary to have a specific evacuation insurance, but the travel insurance is mandatory.
Fantastic. What type of unforeseen experiences shall we prepare guests for? Things like car breakdowns, etc.
Shall I reply?
Yes, Carlotta, go ahead.
Okay, so I knew this question was coming, but yeah, no, by unforeseen, we actually just mean like, I don't know, the running water stops for like 5 minutes. So I always say to my travelers, please ensure that there is running water before you put soap on your hand. But this doesn't happen in the hotels. This happens along the way, you know. So, or maybe lunch will be a bit late because they didn't prepare food in time. Those kind of small inconvenience.
Border crossing takes time. You have to fill many papers, and then but it's part of the experience. Is a real African experience. Yes.
What about currency, banks, and using credit cards?
So Ghana has its own currency, which is the Ghana cedi, while Togo and Benin use the same one, which is the franc CFA. You can even bring dollars or euro and pay many things with them. You can exchange them easily in Forex Bureau, bank, even in the hotels. It's just a matter of exchange rate. We have banks with ATM, so you can withdraw, but the connection is not always very good. And the same is from credit cards. You can bring them. Visa, MasterCards are well accepted everywhere, but do not trust only on them because of the connection. So bring some cash with you as well.
I'm going to try to combine a couple into one. In terms of, if we look at Ghana, Togo, Benin, how many days do you recommend for a complete itinerary that includes the highlights from those 3 countries? And what would an average cost be for that itinerary?
So if we talk about FIT and high-level tours, so with the best accommodation available, with the best cars, with the best services. I mean, not fixed menu in restaurant, but giving a la carte choice, inclusive of drinks and so on. I would rate 15 days of tour. For the whole Ghana, Togo, Benin tour from north to south, 15 days, yes, is a good tour. Yeah, very complete. But of course, we can offer the same quality of accommodation. So if you are looking for the best available, we have to stay central, south region. And it can be something like 2 days in Cotonou, 2 days in Lome, 2 days in Accra, 2 days in Elmina, 2 days in Kumasi. So we reach easily the 10 days, all by lands. And the cost for a FIT tour like this, you can count something like 450, 500 euro per person per day.
And in terms of meals and beverages, you kind of just spoke about that as well. From my experience, what I've seen is that you can have all of the meals included. In the itineraries, though, things like your alcohol is separate. So included in the itinerary is water while you're driving, and you'll get that at the hotel. But in terms of things that you're going to be drinking at lunch and dinner, wine, spirits, all of that, that is then extra and at the cost of the guest. But please, if you want to elaborate at all.
No, we are open to any solution. So whatever you want, whatever your client needs, we can provide. So if you like, we can add everything. Of course, our policy is clear and is about putting everything inside. Every ceremony, every entry fees, everything we usually put clearly inside. This is our policy.
Yeah, if I might add a couple of things.
Yes, Carlotta.
Yeah, so maybe Brooke was also referring to the itineraries that we send over. So if we do not have any specific requests, as Gabriele was saying, we tend to provide a full board. So include everything except alcohol and drinks at meals. So this is what we provide. Otherwise, if you have any specific requests, like my client don't want to have a full board, please let us know and we act accordingly. But yeah.
And I'll just add again, personal experience. I mean, I have celiac. I've traveled with a vegetarian. There's definitely options for all travelers throughout West Africa. Lots of fish, good fresh veg. Obviously, very carb focused as well. That's a part of their diet. Much more kind of modern cuisine in the cities and on the coasts as well. So that was wonderful. I enjoyed the food. And then there's a specific question. There is a tour operator who's joined us today who's in the process of putting together a tour that she'll be hosting with Carlotta, is putting together the itinerary with her. And the question was specific to guides. Will guests always have a local guide? Many of the travelers from the North American market to West Africa are African Americans looking to retrace their heritage. And so they're looking for a local Black guide who can also, though, share all of the knowledge, history, and experience that you touched upon earlier, Carlotta. So can one of you speak a little bit more about the guiding, and Carlotta, when it is you that's leading a tour, or one of the other kind of specialists?
Yeah, so as I was saying in advance, like really our crowd is our local guides. So yes, most of the time travelers will have local guides. Then there are some specialists like me. No, and we, like me, Roberto, who is also a member of the staff, Gabriele, Alberto is the founder of the company. We guide some tours, but those are very specific tours. Like for instance, I was meant to guide a tour in Ghana only for the Depot initiation rites, which is a female initiation rite. So I, as an anthropologist, was leading the tour, but as an expert, as a specialist. Otherwise, the guides are always local people. Yeah.
But Brooke, please, we are a sort of artisan, okay? So we can provide everything you need. For instance, even talking about guides, if you like to travel with an expert, even a local expert, like a contemporary artist, like a photographer, just to have an overview of things coming from a different point of view, we can do this. We are planning some new tours, scheduled tours, of course, with fetish priests. So guided by a part, our guide plus a fetish priest, just to give you a deep knowledge about the matter. even coming back to the food, we came from expedition, and so we have among our crew some professional cooks that can set everywhere, anytime, delicious foods in the bush, on the beach, during the river excursion. So we are really open and ready to satisfy every kind of request from your guests. Yeah.
And with that as well, there was a question about if we ever do specific webinars for people that are putting together tours to help them promote it. And obviously, as you can all see, this is the first time I've done a webinar. So thank you for letting me be a little rough around the edges with mistakes. But now that we understand what we're doing, yes, for any of you that would like a specific webinar for your team, for your clients or guests that you're trying to sell into an itinerary, we can absolutely help with that. Another question is, are there particular times of year when there are special ceremonies or festivals that you would recommend?
Yeah, so we have special departures. So one is in January, the 8th of January, and this includes the Voodoo Festival in Benin. Then we have a special departure in October, and this is for the Millet Festival in Ghana, made by the Krobo people. Then we have a special departure for the Depot Female Initiation Rites, also in Ghana, and this takes place in April. And then we have a special departure in August for the Yam Festival in Benin. And this is pretty much it. Yeah.
And with that, I know that there's a lot of information on the TransAfrica website, and that you also send out weekly emails about the set departure tours, and if they are already confirmed, how many guests need to be on them for them to be confirmed. And so everyone who has signed up for this webinar, I will make sure that the TransAfrica team has your emails so that you receive those and you can see what tours they have specifically set up that you can either sell into or try and mimic if you are going to lead a tour yourself, or for your guests looking for an FIT experience. And I will also then add to that I've only hosted one group educational and won't have the ability to every single year or with every single country. What the easiest way is for any of you to get firsthand experience in West Africa is to look at those set departures. And if there is a set departure that is guaranteed and you want to participate in it, we can work with you on an industry rate so that you can join that. And then at the beginning or end, spend another couple of days to maybe do site inspections of hotels that are really appropriate for your 5-star clientele. Or if the tour doesn't hit all of the elements that you think would be important to your guests, we can build that in as well. Are there any NGO projects that guests can visit and get involved with on the ground? I'm definitely going to let Carlotta answer that one.
Surely there are several NGOs projects all over the city. Those projects are, well, actually we prefer local projects, so projects that are made and run by the local community, aimed at the local development. We do not include a stop in NGO projects or local or community development project. This is just our own philosophy and our own choice, but we can surely work together if someone has or wants to visit a NGO or a local community development project.
Wonderful. And then another question is, can you speak a little bit about The countries that we operate in terms of safety, political strife, wars, conflict, etc. So there's a lot of information there, but basically just overall safety and security in West Africa.
Yeah, so traveling in West Africa is safe. And I'm not making this up. I'm not trying to convince you to come, but you can really check this on the website of the Foreign Affairs of your country. You will see that none of these regions have a red warning, so it's safe. Other than that, we are really committed to safety, like safety first, and not only because of you guys, but also because of us. We live there. We have our employees traveling all over the city, so of course we are strongly committed to safety. And what we do is that, of course, we regularly check the website of the Foreign Affairs, but also we have our local guides who constantly travel around the city. So we are constantly in touch with them, and they let us know as soon as there is a strike, as soon as there is a street protest. They let us know what is going on, and we can check it and make a decision, either let the tour go or stop it, or yeah, or let the tour go to a different place, you know. So yeah.
And so I'll also just kind of share my personal experience from the first time that I was in Benin, Togo, and Ghana, and I've been very, again, just blessed to be able to go to that region twice. But my first experience was exactly to Carlotta's point, where we were meant to be driving to a city where we were going to stay overnight and then carry on the next day. And our guide just said to us, I've heard wind that there are some strikes going on, or it's a possibility that there are strikes going on because of something with a local election. I have options for you. Would you like to stay anyway? There will be a curfew and we have to stay inside at a certain point, or stay in the car and drive for another couple of hours to another hotel that I've already called ahead. They've got rooms, we can spend time there. So more time in the car now, but then you'll be closer to where we're going tomorrow. And I really appreciated that he proactively, you know, told me what was going on, but then also had solutions and basically said, this is my suggestion. What do you feel comfortable with? This is what that would mean. And that experience and many others are also in the trip reports that I've written. Many of you on this webinar have, I think, read those already. If you have not, though, they are hosted on my husband Johan's website and are in the kind of footer of the different newsletters that we send out. So again, I'll make sure that everyone who has not yet seen them has the trip report that I've done for Benin, Togo, Ghana, which also includes a little bit of Sao Tome and Principe, and then Senegal and Guinea-Bissau, which we'll cover in a couple of weeks, because those have my experiences and photos and videos and information that you can use with your clients. But now with that, another question was back to weather and festivals. One that's specific to October in Ghana for the festivals, but just in general, if we can maybe talk a little bit more about the best time of year. And again, we're right now covering Benin, Togo, and Ghana, and we'll have other webinars about other parts of West Africa, and the seasons and the festivals are going to be slightly different depending on where in West Africa we are. But so for Benin, Togo, Ghana, can you highlight festivals in October and just speak a little bit more about the best months for traveling here?
A small introduction instead of giving you many names and then you will forget about them easily. Consider that the calendar is strongly connected with the land, farming. So people celebrate before farming and then while harvesting to thank their gods, their spirits. And so they will, there will be many festivals both in the dry and in the wet season. Let's say that the best season, accordingly with the climate, so the dry season goes from November to April, May, and then it starts raining southern and with a short decalage in the north. But even during the during the rainy season, you can get very nice festivals, and so it's over different months. What we usually do is listening about the holiday our clients have, and then checking our calendar and suggesting everything can fall in that period or very close, in order to fit their stay with as many as festival we can have.
Great.
I don't know if it may.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you. So as of right now, we don't have more questions, and I believe that we've answered all of the ones that have come in. I've tried my best. Hopefully we did. But again, this recording will be made live. Everybody has my information. I will make sure that you have that of the teams for follow-up information. Next week, we will be joined with Alberto, the founder of TransAfrica, who will go over the grand expedition that really starts in Morocco and goes all the way down and around, which just is fascinating to me. And I promise that I will take some time to work out the glitches that we experienced today. I appreciate everyone working with me to get on board. I hope that you've enjoyed. If we can do anything else for you, please let us know, and have a wonderful day.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Hope to see you in West Africa soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.